Siobhan Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I thank the Foreign Secretary for her leadership and her comments in opening the debate today. I'm sad to see some of the opposition speeches have been so keen to criticise and attack that they are disregarding the economic, military and humanitarian support coming from our country. It is clear that the Ukrainian people and President Zelensky and his team trust the Prime Minister and the UK government and people to deliver the support and the equipment that they need. And I particularly give thanks to our own armed forces who spent many, many months training the Ukrainian armies long before the Ukrainian conflict was on the lips of everybody in this country. Stroud people care deeply about this issue. So I will give way.
I thank her for giving way. She, like myself, are relatively new to this place, and I don't know if she was as surprised as I was to read in the weekend press about how previous defence secretaries, such as Michael Fallon, were actually pushing for armament support to be given to Ukraine, but at the time that was turned down. Was she as surprised and disappointed as I was?
I think the history leading into any conflict will be poured over and there'll be various different accounts. I think what we absolutely have to deal with is the here and now, and what I know, and having spoken to the parliamentarians that came from Ukraine recently, is that they do have faith in what this country is doing. So I take your point, and we will all be learning on our feet as we go, but I'd like to make progress. So I want to say that Stroud people care deeply about this issue. I receive emails asking for me to advocate all of the time for more equipment, more lethal aid, and to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to support Ukraine. The majority of our public understand the complexities and the need that were the absolute essential elements of working with NATO and not trying to go out alone, despite the emotional pull for wanting to do more and more. Stroud very, very much wants to see Russia defeated and President Putin stopped in his tracks. We pay respect to the Ukrainian forces for keeping up the fight. I'd like to focus my remarks today on the local work for Ukrainian families. My friends on the front bench from the MOD and the Foreign Office are very aware that the fighters out there being brave for Ukraine need to know that their loved ones are supported and getting safe sanction in the UK or whichever country they are choosing to move to. So the schemes that we have put in place are very, very important. And in Gloucestershire, we've already settled 88 guests across 43 properties. Many, many more people have put themselves forward to host families. I'm personally in my office. We're handling 55 applications, and over the last week we've had 27 confirmations that visas and permission to travel letters have been sent out. I've got my website has got an awful lot of information on for anyone that is listening to this debate, and I give credit to organisations such as Hush down in Dursley and the Stroud Ukraine Refugee Community Support Network, who are doing a lot to organise. I hear concerns, and it's right to raise concerns in this place where we see problems with procedure and schemes, but this has never been done before, the Homes for Ukraine scheme. It's never been done around the world, and the Home Office, we know, is already stretched with various other schemes for Afghanistan families, looking after Hong Kong families, on top of all of the other day-to-day business. So I do believe that the public understand that while we do want to go faster, I'm the first to criticise constructively sometimes, but not always when I see problems, but the public understand that we've got to be cautious for safeguarding, we've got to get this right, and we've got to make sure that children and women in particular are not at risk of trafficking. I've got permission to speak on behalf of the Team Gloucestershire MPs, all 6 of us, about 2 key points for the Ukrainian refugees that are hoping to come to our own county. The first one is that I really want to see fast work on organising a rematching programme for when the placements and the host matching programmes break down for whatever reason. And the second is the sharing of data between councils, particularly in relation to the family scheme, and also to register issues that arise with safeguarding cases and hosts. I completely understand that there is a lot of focus on the original match scheme, but that actually the rematching of willing sponsors with refugees is a vital part of the puzzle. We know that there will be situations where relationships with hosts will break down, no matter how much effort is put in on both sides, and there's going to be situations where councils are having to reject homes that are not considered right to host refugees for whatever reason, and more importantly, where safeguarding concerns are identified. So when we know we've got hundreds of families, all of us in our constituencies, but particularly in Stroud and Gloucestershire, because they have put their hands up very quickly, it makes no sense to me that the options available to families, if a relationship breaks down or if there's a problem with the host, that they end up in a homelessness situation. I would like to see that we can find a way to utilise the goodwill, and the option for refugees and councils are that we can rematch on a formal basis and not informally, so we have all of the government safeguarding and coordination put into place, and I hope that DLUC is going to be able to achieve that soon. Similarly, if we can tighten up data sharing, I feel this will be necessary for safeguarding and to ensure that the schemes are efficient. We had a local case study across Gloucestershire. A 23-year-old female guest was coming to Gloucestershire. We found that the shared bedroom with a male sponsor was unsuitable, and he also made an inappropriate comment regarding the guest when it was visited by the property team. So obviously red flags going up, but there's absolutely no way to stop that match. The visa was issued, and so when spoken to the guest said that the person was their boyfriend, but they've since moved on to another family. There's no way to actually track them. These are issues of safeguarding. It's a vulnerable lone female. We can't stop the visas, as I've said, and the guests are not deemed vulnerable under the legal definition as they're adults with no mental illness or disability, so the councils can't intervene. And we can't stop the original sponsors then going on to rematch again because there's no way of registering that there is a red flag for that host. So I'm not going to be a negative ninny. I completely understand the complexities, but I do think there are changes that we can make to improve these schemes. And I've been having wonderful conversations with people in Stroud, my own village, Frampton-on-Severn. Everything starts with a WhatsApp group. There's a fantastic organisation, WhatsApp group, looking after people who want to host or refugees that are coming. I want this scheme to work. I want it to be a strong pillar of our help for Ukraine, alongside the UK's efforts from the MOD, Foreign Office and Home Office, and it will bring comfort to those brave Ukrainian men and women who are fighting on the front line to know that there is good, strong refugee schemes coming into this country. So I look forward to working with all ministers on a cross-departmental basis to achieve that, because the world is dangerous, or it feels dangerous to us, but it's absolutely horrendous for quite a lot of people living in Ukraine right now.